LT is going to be helping me this evening. As Kim said, I am a volunteer for United Family Services as a domestic violence advocate. I am also a survivor of domestic violence. And the subject of domestic violence from the standpoint, if I understand correctly, about battered women syndrome, as well as the laws that we currently have, people going to jail or women going to jail for defending themselves and things like that. So we are going to talk about some of the topics regarding domestic violence, some things you didn't know and some things you don't know. LT, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you if you can pass these out to everybody here. And while he's doing that, I'll give you a little bit of a brief background on my story. I was married on my 20th birthday. I was married to somebody that at the time was in the Marine Corps. And to be quite honest, I was 20 and I wanted to leave home. And he was older and had a car, and that kind of at the time qualified for a husband material. We had a beautiful ceremony. And about probably a month or two after we were married, I said something he didn't like, and he choked me. And I stayed married for 15 years to him. We have a daughter. She is now 21 years old. And we're going to talk about the effects of children from a home, being raised in a home of domestic violence. So I did. I stayed married to this particular individual for 15 years. And throughout those years, I became very accustomed to what I could say, what I could not say, what would upset him. And it was really very, very difficult. It was very difficult as a young lady, 20 years old, and as a young mom. And we separated many times, and we got back together many times, and some of the things that happened in my relationship, sometimes I would get very afraid because of just kind of the tension in the home. And I remember one day putting a kitchen knife under the sofa pillow, just in case. And I went out and took the baby for a walk. And when I came home, the knife was on the living room table. And he didn't mention it, and I didn't mention it. And I put the knife back in the butcher block, and that was the end of that particular issue. And so there's things, when I look back at it now, you know you're living in an uncomfortable situation. You know that it's not fabulous, but for many ladies, including me, you want to be married or you don't want to go back home and you really don't really see a way out. And we rationalize that it's just not that bad, right? Well, the reality is it is that bad. And it takes somebody else, a lot of times, to let you see the situation that you're in. Regarding domestic violence and women staying in domestic violence situations, a lot of the times is, as we said, that it just doesn't seem so bad. And I compare that to a slot machine game. The bells are still going off and the numbers are spinning, but there's a sign that says broken on top. It clearly displayed as a sign that says it's broken. Well, we've put so many quarters in. We've put so many dollars in, we've put so many years in, we've put so much time in, we've put so much emotion in that we keep pulling the handle expecting a payout. Because surely there's a payout to all of this pain and misery and agony, and there isn't. My daughter and I, before I got divorced, we started with these sayings, and it was, the reality is the reality. It wasn't until my then husband wanted to move out because he had yet another girlfriend. And I went to break the news to my daughter very gently, and I took her to one of the coffee places. And we sat down, and I started telling her that we were probably going to get separated again. She was about 12 years old, and she said to me, "Mom, If you can't be in a relationship that's spiritually, emotionally, and physically healthy, you shouldn't be in it. And it absolutely changed my life. It never, ever dawned on me that it wasn't healthy. That makes perfectly clear sense. It's not healthy. So, with some wise counsel, I decided to ask my husband to leave. This was a unique situation because all the other times I had left him. Well, while we were married, and through the years I had grown in from becoming a secretary to working, and I was making over $100,000 a year. We had a house, and I couldn't leave. It was my house. It was my note. So I had to find a creative way to get him to leave, a safe way. And what ultimately I did was I kind of pointed out to him that he was not happy and that he would be much happier if he didn't have to live here, and I would help him to get a place. And I gave him a check for $2,000, and my friends helped him move. And that's the way I got him out of my life. That seems extreme. For me, the person that he had abused, the person he had cheated on, the person he had lied to for 15 solid years, would do all these things. I packed clothes, I packed boxes, we had this mini mansion house. What do you want? What kind of furniture do you want? Which TV do you want? And it was all about a safe exit plan. That doesn't work for a lot of people. They don't have the resources. They don't have the funds. And so they really are honestly trapped. So, before I give away all the answers, I am going to ask the question. What's the best way to get out of a domestic violence situation? Tell somebody. Call the police.
Move away and send to that job. And phone them.
It's a trick question.
Wait, you really can't because it's my opinion.
Love.
I mean, like,
What's
in a relationship. So some people really can't get away.
Right, so the best way to get out is to never get in to begin with. It's the only way, actually. That was a trick question.
Another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know when you married your husband that he was abusive? Was he abusive before the marriage?
Of course we don't know these things. Why don't women know when they have a boyfriend or they get married? Why do they not know that the guy is abusive? Why do they not know? Yes, ma'am.
They not have a clue. Because they might be in love and they don't see it. You don't see it.
You just don't see it.
You don't.
And it's like every other relationship. Like in the beginning, we all good, and then as time goes on, things change.
Yeah. Do things change, or do you finally get to know them?
Now you get comfortable too.
He get comfortable.
Everybody gets comfortable.
If he aggressed me first, that should change.
Okay. So here is a question-answer quiz type of thing. Let's go around the room. LT, can you read the first one? Are you a domestic violence victim if
your partner is threatening or violent towards you or the children?
Are you a victim if your partner is threatening or violent towards you and the children?
Yes.
Yes. Definitely. I like that answer. Okay, we're going to go around the room. Are you a domestic violence victim if
you find yourself making excuses and moving out of your apartment that you hate?
Yeah. Still a victim.
Still a victim? Yes, right. You make it seem like it's really not that big of a deal. Are you a domestic violence victim if next?
You feel completely controlled by your partner.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Number 4. Are you a domestic violence victim if? We're going to go to you.
You feel helpless, trapped, and isolated. Yes.
Yes. How can somebody feel alone if they're in a relationship?
Because they feel like ain't nobody there to save them or help them get out of the relationship.
Yeah, they got a partner, they got a guy or a girlfriend.
He's beating her, so she feel alone. She don't feel like she's loved or safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 5. Are you a domestic violence victim if?
You blame yourself for being beat up.
What do you think? Yeah? So how does that look like? I mean, how would somebody blame themselves?
Because
That's how
they
they're
fell
trying to
into that
justify it.
situation.
What was your answer?
They're trying to justify it.
Right.
It was their fault that they did something wrong and they caused it.
Okay. And what were you saying?
I did myself in there.
Right, it's my fault. Or maybe, Kim, go ahead.
I have a question. Did you ever feel like it was your fault, or why he acted? Or why he treated you like that?
Yeah. Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Right? Well, the dishes are done. The baby's changed. The house is clean. So there must be something I'm doing that I'm not really aware of, is why you are trying to let me out. Right? It must be something I did. And so then that goes back to, you beat yourself up, I must have not have done something, my hair wasn't right. My hair used to probably be about shoulder length. And one day, when I was in high school, I had my hair cut really short. And one day, I don't know what got into it, while we were married, I wanted my hair cut short. He said, what kind of statement are you trying to make? Well, you can't grow your hair back real quick. And it caused a situation. So that's my fault. I shouldn't even, what was I thinking? Cut short. Okay, number 6. Are you a domestic violence victim if?
Your partner blames and tells you that you are the cause of all his or her problems.
Yes.
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 I mean, can a girl be a domestic violence batterer? Or is it always guys?
It can be both.
Really?
I mean,
It could be both at the
Tell
same
them if a
time.
girl get a job.
I want you to say that again.
It could be both at the same time.
Now, what's that look like?
Maybe
Duking it out.
one day it happens at the same time.
Yeah. Abusing each other. That's true. I met a girl at a college, actually. I had a speech. And she said, I don't let my boyfriend beat me up. I just, hit him back. And I said, how's that working for you? But she's accustomed to it. He's accustomed to it. She feels like she's not a victim because she's fighting back. What she doesn't realize is that both of their lives are in danger. And actually, all of these are true statements. Number 7, you blame the violence on stress or drugs or alcohol or a bad childhood. Well, my husband just, really wasn't raised in a really loving household, and, it's just the way that he was raised, or he's an alcoholic. My husband was not. My husband was a member of the United States Marine Corps. My husband had served in wars. My husband was a police officer. That made it also a lot more difficult to me. Am I going to call the police on my husband? The police? No. Partner constantly accuses you of having affairs when he or she can't account for 100% of your time. And he or she tells you that jealousy is a sign of love. So have you ever heard of somebody saying, oh, my boyfriend just really loves me. I mean, he just wants to know where I'm at all the time.
Yeah, but
I just want to know where you're at. That's all.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All the time. I just care about you so much.
it's something wrong with it.
I mean, I just love
It
you.
depends, like how you saying it, like.
Okay. I really, really love you, and I really, really, really just want to know where you're at, what time you're going to get home, and where you're going, and who are you going to be with.
That's insecurity.
It's control.
I don't trust you.
It's control.
Well, if something happens to you, you still want to know where they at.
Yeah.
True.
I
ain't saying it like when you at.
Well, that's just casual, like, just within the relationship, just knowing where the other person is. That's
My daughter is
consideration.
My daughter is 22 years old. As a small person, you're going out front, I can see you. You get a little bit bigger, you're going over so-and-so's house, I know so-and-so's married. She's now 22 years old. And before this, before, or recently actually, I was like, where are you going? What time are you going to be at? It's control and it's based on fear. So the other night she was out. She's 22. I said, she's 22, right? And she goes to school at night, and it was, I guess she gets done on school about 10. She's becoming a mechanic. Her third career, 22. And it's like midnight. And I started getting panicked. If something happened to her, there's nothing I can do about it. Did I try to pull the phone? Yes. Did she answer? No. Did I yell at her when she got home?
Yeah.
I did not. Oh, okay. I wanted to, but I didn't. Because she is her own person. And that is part of, we don't talk about it a lot, but it's a part of a codependent relationship, which is unhealthy. So all of these things come in play, and I'm going to, on the back, and we're going to get to some of these questions, and I'm going to let you guys go around and ask me some questions before I start asking you all some questions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever wonder if there might be some sort of a mental or chemical imbalance in your husband that maybe suggestively to say, do you recognize you have this problem? Do you want help?
I did not. That's a great question. What I did find out, we had been separated, like a million times. He would hurt me, and I would put the baby in the car and flee back to my mother's, and then I would get sick of my mother and I would flee back to him. I never thought that, because I really, really thought, this is something I can control. This is something I'm doing wrong. It's really me. And believe it, every opportunity he got, he would tell me it's me. And it got to the point where literally you're so unsure of yourself that absolutely common things just, things that you would not in a million years believe, all of a sudden you believe. He said, hey, if anybody calls the house, please tell them you're my sister because I'm on an undercover operation with the police. Okay. And that's why I can't remember right away. Okay. Really? Because the other option is to believe something so horrific that you cannot possibly believe, that you're looking in my face and telling me that you're cheating on me. Right? And then, if I believe that, what am I going to do about it? So it's very easy to just minimize, make it seem like it's not that big of a deal, and go along with the game.
Well, my question would be, what advice do you give to someone that is in that situation? Because I've had friends in the past, and I didn't know how to help them when they were in that situation. And,
are they the batterer or are they the battery?
The battery. They're
the ones being abused. Okay.
And then there's children. When children are involved, and you're constantly trying to get them to leave, but then they may be like you were the supporter, and so it's all of your stuff. But then they might not have the resources to be able to make that person leave and help them do that.
Right.
So if it can't be peaceful.
So sometimes, and this is very hard to say, oftentimes, the people that love us the most want us to get out of a situation that we are not ready to get out of. Right. And so one of the things that you can do to help her is to listen and to be there. And since we're in a church, I'll just go with this. As the Lord leads. Right. To be very sensitive to the spirit of what you're supposed to do. From a friend perspective, and I have done this a few times actually, you call the 1-800 number and talk to them about her as well as you and how you feel. Yeah. I had a friend at work, and she was in a situation, I just met her, and apparently she had been in a situation for a couple of years. And I actually invited her over to my house to watch a movie, which was a total disaster. He was calling, and it was just horrible. and had to get the police involved that night with some things. And I called the 1-800 number and said, I would like for her to stay at my house and her kids to stay at my house. What do I need to be aware of? Give me wisdom, right? Does he know where you live? Does he know what your car looks like? Jennifer Hudson's entire family, nearly almost all of her family, was killed because of the boyfriend or the ex-husband or whatever. So, you know, I'm putting my life at risk by bringing her to my house, right? You know, and so it's a really fine line. But the best thing that you can do is to educate yourself on what domestic violence looks like, what are solutions. But you will know, you know, when, you know, it might be an appropriate time to slip in some information. Hey, do you happen to have, you know, like your passport and your bank account cards, you know, in a safe place? You know, you don't want to say, do you want to watch the movie Enough? That's not what you do. Because I had never seen it. And my friend showed it to me. And I got all big and bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to just tell. She said, oh, let me bring you back to reality. He will slit your throat. Right? Because we got all big and bad when J-Lo. But no, that's not the solution. That is so not the solution. So when you become familiar of those things that are, you know, what she would need in place to do this, you know, you just slip in those things. And unfortunately, we become panicked, right? Because we care so much about them. Okay, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? The kid's gonna have to move. You gotta leave. You gotta go change your number. I did. I made her throw away her phone. I get them off Facebook. I mean, I was absolutely panicked. This is not what I do because I don't know any of this stuff. You know, call police. So the best thing that you can do is to become informed and to talk to people as, you know, somebody who is in a healthy relationship or in a healthy space. To talk to, you know, call the domestic violence hotline, talk to victims assistance downtown Charlotte, find out what the process is about having somebody locked up. I hate to say this. I'm going through this with my friend. The process of calling the police on somebody who beat you up is, having seen it quite recently, is a travesty of justice. It is worse than being abused by the person who thought that loved you. She has been in court for almost a year. He has abused her, went to jail, got out of jail, abused her, went to jail, got out of jail, continuance after continuance after continuance after continuance. And every once in a while, just to keep humor into it, when we would go to court, and I would say, there's your tax dollars at work, because he has a public defender and you have nobody. It's a travesty of justice. It really is. With that said, best way of getting out, not getting in. However, a lot of people are in. So there's the statistics. 73% of the women seeking emergency services or who are killed are because they are leaving or have left. So you are 73% likely to be hurt or killed after leaving. Why? Do you not know? You leave a guy that's been beating you all the time and you've left? How dare you? People going on women's jobs and killing them, walking in Home Depot and killing them. I mean, it's just really, they have lost control. They've lost you. Everything is falling apart. I mean, really, it really makes quite sense. And you have given them this, because we stayed in it, and whether it was healthy or not, we basically, you know, we're like, now they're slaves. Now we're a slave on here. You know what I mean, really? All of a sudden, it feels like a runaway slave, and now I'm going to pay you back. And if you can't, I can't have you, nobody else will. We've seen the movies. So what else can you do to help a battered woman? Since we're on that topic. So what's one thing that I said? Be supportive. Empathize. As women, We are caretakers and rescuers, and we want to just get her out. Right? And so now we've become now another stressor in her life that she really doesn't need. But be aware. Maybe you can say, hey, do you want me to hold a copy of the driver's license? Maybe you say, hey, I'm just going to call you and check on you sometimes. Maybe develop a code word. The night that I invited the friend over, she called me at work and she said, I really apologize for calling you at work right now. I'm really very sorry. And I said, girl, stop playing with me. And she said, I really apologize. And I said, okay. That's okay. Because he was there. Something was popping off. And she totally changed how she talks to me. She totally changed, that I understood that, there was a situation going on. And he was asking her, where are you going? What time are you going to be at? And me, dumb me, I've been a survivor for 8 years, I said, let me talk to him, like an idiot. And he had me in tears in 10 minutes. Well, where are you going? What are you doing? You told her such and such. I heard you say this to her. And he got me in the same, did I say that? I didn't say that. I heard you saying you guys were going to go to a club. We're not going to a club, come to my house and watch me. Well, why are you doing it? And what he would do is when she was on the phone, he would put his head up to her phone. And that's what was going on right then. Amazingly, she left and came to watch the movie anyway, but then again, the police got involved later, so. You had a question?
Yeah, when you said earlier, what's love got to do with it? I feel like it has everything to do with it, because when you, listen to other people's stories, you always hear, but I love him or her or whatever, and that's the reason why people be staying, because they so in love with them that they can't leave, because they've been with them for, years, and they just blame it on how much they love him. Even though they hit him, they still love him. Because I was watching this show yesterday, and, the guy kept hitting her, but she wouldn't leave because she told her friend she just loved him so much. So, how do you stop somebody from loving them? You can't really stop anyone from loving somebody, even if they hit them. So,
here's the deal. First of all, you've never heard me say I love my husband.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that.
No, I didn't.
You said you've been with him 15 years, even before?
I knew him for 3 months, got engaged, and we got married in 6 more months.
Oh, okay. So, the whole time?
Not really. I wasn't feeling it.
See, that's the reason why
However,
for you to leave.
Easier 15 years? Easier. Oh, no. Let me say this. And this is what I say to women who go with that tactic. Because that is their excuse to stay. Let's take the word love out of this. And let's replace that with healthy. Let's take the word love out, because love is an emotion. And if you want to know from a physiological, anatomical, whatever, in your brain, there's this part of the brain, there's the stem, whatever, back here. You guys know better than me. And then there's a part of your brain where emotions happen, right? And so, at the front of your brain is where you make wise decisions. So if you think of a thought, right, my daughter's late, my daughter's out, I don't know where she's at, I hit emotion, right? I can now react, I'm mad, I'm pissed off, I'm angry, blah, 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 emotion. And then I get past that part of my brain to, she has no curfew, I trust her. Even if she was dead on the side of the road, there's nothing I can do about it. I would be sad. But where a lot of us stop and react and act is at the emotion. So, if that is the argument, is, okay, let's take love out of it. And my all-time favorite response is, if it was your daughter, would you want her to be in it? So that shuts down the love philosophy. They would not say, yes, I would tell my daughter to stay in it because she loved him so much. Because they're in the dirty car that they can't even see. But when you point to the other dirty car and say, would you want your daughter in that raggedy piece of crap? No. I would want the best for my daughter or my niece or my mother. All right, you love him. Fine. Is it healthy for you? Is it healthy for your daughter? Is it healthy for your children? Is it healthy for your emotionally, psychological, physical? Is it healthy? Is it healthy? She says yes. God watches over fools and babies. You had a question.
So, you know how like the children, like you know how the children see their mother being abused, and like say like they feel some type of way, and they feel like it's okay to do that to someone else, like somebody they go to school with. I mean, like how, like why do they feel like that? Like, is it because they're seeing it, or
it's a learned behavior, right? So Pavlov's dog. Bell rings, gives the dog a treat. Bell rings, gives the dog a treat. Bell rings, salivates, no treat. It's a learned behavior, right? It's a learned way of reacting or not reacting. So in my situation, I have a girl. I got divorced when she was maybe 12. She has seen this. You don't think they see it, so you're in denial about that too. So she has seen two things. Her father take out his anger upon me, and she's seen me submissive. So those are the two things. Those are two things that she's learned. My daughter is becoming a mechanic. Which do you think she ended up to be? An abusee or an abuser? Abuser. My daughter had a boy over the house one day. She said her birthday was coming up. He said, "Who cares?" And she smacked him dead across the face. I'm like, that's battery. You can't do that. That is what she learned. I'm mad. I didn't like what you said. And she smacked him.
You feel like it was okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely justified. She will not take anything from anybody. Right? I'm not going to be like my mom. Now, I grew up in a family that my mother was a lot more verbal abuse, right? Really didn't see, throwing things, but not like my dad putting his hands on my mom. And I grew up the submissive part of that relationship. And every once in a while, the instinct to live will rise up in you. And you might, want to kind of, go back. And then you remember, he'll kill me. So you learn to navigate in those situations until you're ready to get out. And getting out seems like you're going to swim the English Channel with, in an iron suit. It does. This really isn't that bad. My kid's in school. I don't want to move my dishes. I don't want to move out. It's not that bad. It's very difficult. It's very difficult, and that's a lot of reasons people say.
And like John was saying, like when the kids see the person doing that, it's like in school they say the little kids are watching you, so you better do the right thing.
That's exactly right. Oh, the mouth babes. The little kids are watching you, so you better do the right thing. And my right thing would have been, she had to tell me this is basically unacceptable behavior, right? It's not healthy, no. You're gonna drink the sour milk? Why? Seriously, these little things just make sense. They are watching. If you go around your house and you're cussing all day long and you're cussing like a sailor all day long, don't get mad at your children when they do it. Right? Or your husband's doing it, and you go, "Oh, that's just your dad." They will, learn to be what they see, and this is generational, right? My husband had to get it from someplace. People didn't just pop out and start, being abusive. So we talked about that. So one of the questions was, how come we don't realize that they're like that? So let's talk about the characteristics of an abuser. How would we know, if we took the time, if somebody was most likely to be an abuser? Here's the deal. If we took the time
To find out.
we took the time to meet this person and know this person before we get intimately involved and all wrapped up, and now here's my, we're tweeting and all this stuff.
There's one way you can find out if they're abusive though. Because like you go to the cops and look on their list to see if they're abusive or
Google them. How about that? I would never Google my boyfriend. Why not? Because you're afraid what you're going to find out. You better Google somebody. You better do information. Pay $25, get a police report. And if you don't want to pay $25, you really don't need to be in a relationship with them anyway. I'm serious. He's absolutely right. You better go and meet somebody else then. Be alone. As Medea said, I can be bad all by myself for free.
I guess look at their past relationship.
Right. Past relationships. Past relationships. Who's their friends? What are their friends like? What's their character like? Right? What's their parents like? Back in the day, you guys might be shocked and amazed. Our parents didn't let us go to nobody's house without them knowing the parents. It didn't happen. So get to know these people. It will come out. It will come out. Common characteristic of battered women. What does she look like? She's in your school. What does she look like? What are some characteristics of somebody who's being battered? Shy. Quiet. Reserved. Don't touch me. Your space. I worked at...
Very easy. Scared.
What is it?
Space.
Space. Okay. Space. Maybe she's, often, she's limping, or often she's got a black eye, or I never had a black eye. Right, because I got the Marine cop that's doing stuff that can't nobody see. Trying to pull my teeth out. Really, literally, he tried to pull my teeth out. I worked for this whole time when I was when I was married and being abused. And when I got divorced, and I kind of started coming out of my shell, people said that they thought I was the biggest snob because I didn't talk to people. They thought I was just really snobby. And that's why I kept to myself so much. You just, But every year, I parade them out at the black tie dinner, and, whatever. When we were in public, we were in church, best guy in the world. We led church not youth groups, but married couples groups. Oh, yes, we did.
You said, how long, when did you start getting abused? 15 years?
When did he start?
Yeah.
About 2 months after we were married. I was pregnant.
So, it took like 15 years to get out of it.
And really, by the grace of God, I was able to afford it. The statistic, about 73% of women are hurt or killed after they leave. I will say that after I was divorced, I did go back to the J-Lo movie, and I did take self-defense classes, and I did take gun classes, and I did get a carry and conceal permit, and I did let him know. Because I'm not going to go down like that. And so now that I know, I want you to know that I know, and we're now on even ground.
Are you married now?
I am not. I don't date.
Is he the reason why you don't?
Probably.
So you basically don't trust him.
It's not that. It's just that I'm very, I'm self-conscious. I see red flags that are red flags. I mean, really, they're like major red flags that I never would have seen before. And there's a lot of creepy people out there. This is not, I'm 43 years old. This is not, this thing, this dating thing happening now is weird and freaky. Okay? Nobody comes to your house and introduces themselves and walks you to the door. You know, it's like, hey, can I come to your house? My daughter taught me the term hooking up. I'm like, what is that? Oh my God, what, are you serious? No. And I will be by myself for the rest of my life and be happy. Because really, I can do that by myself. Ironically, my ex-husband and I are, we're pretty, we're civil. He's still a loser. He is. But we're pretty civil. He doesn't really pay attention to his daughter. He lives about 5 miles away. Doesn't talk to her. Not really. Well, she has something to offer. Another downstream effect, right? So you think about it, you talk about in school about pollution in rivers and the downstream effects. This will affect her kids, right? If she doesn't get a handle right now on this, it will affect her children. So, do you have any other questions that I can help with? Yes, sir.
You said that 70% of females that get out of the relationship, they usually get killed.
Killed or injured?
And my auntie that passed away, she was in this relationship.
He killed her?
Yeah. Afterwards, it was like 2 years after.
It's I was in a class. After 8 years, I decided to take a divorce class at church. And the girl that was sitting next to me said that her sister had just died. She had finally worked up the courage to leave her husband. He came to her job and shot her. And I don't even think the trial had started yet.
Yeah, the trial was
right. There are your tax dollars at work. The laws are crazy ridiculous. Right? You'll go to jail for selling some marijuana and stay in jail. Hurt a dog. What's his name? Michael Vick?
Yeah.
Went to jail. Am I not correct?
What is the geese outside?
2 years over a dog. My friend is hiding and dodging and really got the people at work on alert if he comes on. I mean, really, it's okay. 2 things I'm going to say. Violence is not the answer. And retaliation, you want to get back all that money that you lost in the slot machine, that you put in it, it's gone. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone. Okay? Violence, retaliation, not the answer. You want to think about it and talk to somebody about it, that's fine. Because I still want to slash tires. That's even not my character, but it'll bring it out of you. 2, yes, there is a battered women's defense, right? Or there's a syndrome. It's kind of like the guys that go to war and they come back and they have post-traumatic stress syndrome. Same type of thing, right? Something happens, you trigger, you snap. Gotta have a lawyer. Well, you might get a public defender, whatever. There are some women to this day that are in jail that said, I would rather go to jail. Will their children be left? Yes. Will their children enter the system? Yes. Will their children be worse off? Yes. A lot of times you hear, well, I stayed for the kids. I stayed so that the kids would have a father. That's what I heard my mom say. I stayed until the kids were older. My daughter said, well, I wish you would have asked me. Seriously, I wish you would have asked me, since you were staying for me, right? It really does take some strategy and some wisdom, a lot of changes, and like he said, no guarantees. 2 years later, can men that are batterers change?
Like they can try.
They would have to want it awfully bad. They would have to work on it for years and years and years. And this is what you hear. Okay, we can go to counseling. oh my gosh, me and my husband did that several times. And that is, I'm going to do this so you'll shut up. And then, after that, this is really not bad time. This is a bad time for us. We could be at home having dinner. So, the deal is, you're in it, and either you're going to stay in it and take it, or, like I told my friend, you can get out and take your chances. But your chances after you get out are better than just living this for the rest of your life. That's my opinion. Anything else? Kim, if you get an opportunity or if you have some time, I would really suggest that you look online and go to court one day. They have their own room for domestic violence cases. That's all they do, is continue cases. I don't know what they do. I've never seen anybody continue. Continue.